What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, with another OGGM adventure. It is I, your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the toxic gatekeeper, and vacation is over. It's time to get back to this wonderful thing we call vlogging. And in case you haven't noticed, it's 2020. Now, what's so important about that, other than it's a new decade? It's that a huge percentage of science fiction films and speculative fiction films all take place now. Like Blade Runner takes place now. So during the 70s and 80s and even the 90s, we were promised a lot of things that would happen in 2020 by the media. Some good, a lot of it bad. So far, with the exception of VR, none of it's come true. But I thought it'd be an interesting exploration, considering my association with one of the major speculative genres, cyberpunk, to take a look at all the promises that were made to us by the media of things that would happen in 2020 that haven't. And let's start with number one, zombies. In my hand, I have Survive This Zombies by our friend Eric Bloat over at Bloatgames, coming in at 120 pages. This wonderful little D20 role-playing game is a speculative fiction about a zombie apocalypse. It's not the first zombie apocalypse role-playing game, but it's not the last. I just like it because it's simple, it's easy, it uses a rule set most of us understand, and in the back it gives a very comprehensive description of all the different types of zombies we have run into in our years of the hobby and of the affection, from living dead zombies, walkers, runners, crawlers, zombie leaders, rage zombies, voodoo zombies, the only real zombies, the fleshless zombies, the people who worship zombies, people who use zombies to, be workforces, stuff like that. Slow turn zombies. So yeah, it's a pretty good list of all the zombies we have seen in sci-fi over the years that were promised to us, the zombie apocalypse that should be happening now. But it isn't. Instead, Australia's burning, so that's pretty much the closest we've got to end the world scenarios currently going. So, of course, one of the big things about zombies is, could it actually happen? Are there any actual evidence that something like this could happen on a pandemic global scale? And the answer is no. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has said time and time again that the chances of a zombie apocalypse happening, the chances of a virus or a pathogen coming into existence that would allow the process that we are familiar with, slim to none. There's just too many factors that would have to happen in the evolution of a pathogen to enable it to create a zombie-like scenario. And as of this point in time, there is nothing in existence that shows that. There are some stuff that is close, and we don't know what's hidden in the rainforest that could come free because of the burning, or buried in the miles and miles of snow in Antarctica that dates back billions of years. But for the most part, there's nothing that could duplicate the series of events that a pathogen would have to go through to become a zombie plague. There are some things that are close that we have discovered. There are some molds, there are some plants, and there are some insects that can, through the various toxins that they produce, duplicate a zombie-like phenomenon in other animals. They inject them, or they infect them, or whatever, so that the animal suddenly starts losing control of its free will and does something to the benefit of the infector. It's a very, Parasite on the most violent level, to make a point. This insect, this parasite, this fungus, this plant does something to cause an animal to do something that is completely against its will, like walk willingly into its mouth, or do things for the bug or the pathogen that it wouldn't normally do. This is probably the closest in nature to zombies, but the chance of it getting anything farther than what we've seen so far, again, the CDC says, yeah, 99.9% chance of it never happening. Just again, the series of biological events that would have to happen to get a pathogen to get from the point of what currently exists now to animating dead bodies and giving them the semblance of life where they're running around and eating people, pretty much non-existent. So, yeah, the chance of the zombie apocalypse that we were promised, probably not going to happen. Now, if it were to happen, because the CDC likes to occasionally troll us, for example, they do have a webpage committed to what you should do during a zombie apocalypse. And I will post a link to that below. But basically, it's what you should do during a real emergency, like a fire or an earthquake. But tongue-in-cheek, they did it in the point of view from a zombie apocalypse because they were asked so many times, could a zombie apocalypse actually happen and what should we do? So they released a survival guide for the zombie apocalypse, but it's actually for other disasters. And in it, they speculate that the closest thing that exists to what we see in zombie apocalypse that exists naturally is rabies. So a super rabies that infects humans is probably the closest thing to zombie apocalypse, where suddenly you've lost control, you've just sort of become this raving, crazy thing that's just obsessed with violently attacking other things for reasons that make no sense. So that's probably it. But again, could that actually happen in real life? Probably not. Now, it's not to say science couldn't invent something. I mean, those nanites are pretty scary, and we don't know what's going on in your local, office of Amgen or whatever, and, there's always some weird new medical thing that somebody's experimenting with or science thing, so we could create the zombie virus, but right now, it doesn't exist, so. It's hard to know why the genre got so popular. I mean, really, the idea of getting eaten alive while rummaging for scraps in an abandoned house, is that fun? But it's a popular genre, I guess, for a lot of reasons. Some have speculated that zombie genre is so popular because of the visceral, forbidden, most innate fear that zombies present. The fear of being eaten. There's nothing more personal, more sensual, more visceral, more frightening than the idea of something biting you, eating you. Biting is such a personal thing, and the idea of getting ripped to shreds and not being able to control it and having no control over your fate and just being attacked and just mauled to death by something that is not designed to do that. Because let's face it, humans, we're not designed to do what zombies do. When it comes to ripping something to shreds and eating it, yeah, we kind of suck in that department compared to things like dogs and bears, which are actually designed to do that. So it's much more frightening to know that something is, ripping you apart in ways that just is so long and painful because it's not designed to do that in a quick and effective way. So there is some speculation that the reason why we gravitate to this genre of horror so much is because it's such an innate fear, such an innate, horrible, forbidden mindset, that sensual, that very in-your-face, very visceral idea of being bit, being eaten, dying in that horrible way. And then coming back from the dead is also pretty frightening, unless you're want to be a vampire or something, because zombies don't get any cool things like vampires. They just or are defeated by things like stairs, doors, bullets to the head. I mean, yeah. Zombies' only advantage is they can create more zombies. Compared to us, where our only advantage is stairs and doors and holes in the ground. And about a million other ways that we find ourselves yelling at the people in zombie films that they should be doing. So that's probably the other reason why the zombie genre is so popular, is because the characters in the zombie genre are so stupid, and we as an audience take so much pleasure in yelling at how stupid they are and how many obvious things they miss that could, allow them to survive. Like going in that house, or looking in that car, or stairs. So once again, day one of our 2020 look at things we were promised to happen in 2020 that haven't happened. We were promised several variations of a zombie apocalypse that would happen by 2020. So far, nothing has even come close, though who knows what kind of diseases might get released in the air because of the burning of Australia, or the burning of the rainforest, or global melting 100,000-year-old ice that might have microbes trapped in it, or more frighteningly and more accurately to actually happen would be science makes something that does this for whatever reason, medical or military. But right now, no zombie apocalypse. You promised us a zombie apocalypse, media. There is no zombie apocalypse. You let us down. Shame on you. I will talk to you later, losers.